Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to another episode of Epic Comic Book Wednesday. This is a world's finest collaboration between Michael K Vaughan and myself, in which we combine the forces of stately Vaughan Manor and Hyde Cottage to talk about the comic books on which we have wasted our youths. Usually. Usually that's the way things go. But this whole thing, I have to say often, this whole thing started as a regular series on Mike's channel, and I just horned my way in, as I am wont to do. Booktuber's not safe. No booktuber is safe. I horned my way into his event and said, I like doing this. I want to join you. And as a result of that, the penalty I pay is that he gets to pick what we talk about every week for the four of you who watch. And as far as I can tell, he came to comic books about 35 years after I did. And as a result, sometimes our tastes coincide quite well with things that we like. And other times, he is wrong. And today's pick, he had to know that I was going to have issues with today's pick. It's this. It's The Walking Dead. This was a comic book that was created by Robert Kirkman. It's a standard post-apocalyptic zombie apocalypse series that was done as a comic book, where a deputy sheriff, I think, named Grimes, wakes up in the hospital. He's been in a coma. He wakes up, and in between when he went into his coma and when he comes out of it, the whole world has fallen into a zombie apocalypse. And he has to save his own life, prevent himself from becoming a zombie, and also find other humans and try to band together and make some sense of it all or survive it all. And they do. They periodically encounter groups of other humans, and you'll just never guess the narrative gimmick that Kirkman hauls out again and again and again. Could it be that humans are the real monsters? Oh, wow. I've never thought of that before. It would be meme-worthy and mockable if he did it once, but in the length of time that The Walking Dead was going on, The Walking Dead, the comic book, ended. The Walking Dead, the TV series, they've had a Broadway musical, they've had an episode on roller skates, they've had then the show's never going to end. Never going to end. But the comic book did end. And in the course of that comic book, Kirkman uses that gimmick. It's the humans who are the real monsters. He uses it over and over again. There's a bit of grim stylishness to the artwork at the beginning of The Walking Dead. I forget the name of the artist who... The original artist on this show is very much not Art Adams. This cover is by Art Adams. If Art Adams had been drawing this swill, I would probably have been collecting it all along. But the original artist on this was fairly good. I don't think he lasted all that long. But it doesn't matter who's doing the artwork, because this is a flawed project. All of these things are flawed projects. Zombie stories, just in general, are flawed projects for a number of different reasons. Now, of course, me being me for Comic Book Wednesday, the main flaw I find with this story is that it contains no Kryptonians. There are no superheroes in this story. Superman is not in this story. And I don't want you saying that if he were in this story, he'd be a super zombie. He's invulnerable. Okay? No prepositional phrase after that. He's invulnerable. So he can't become a zombie. I'm talking about the real Superman here, not whatever John Byrne creature. So he's invulnerable, so he can't become a zombie, nor can his cousin, nor can his dog. But it doesn't matter, because there are no heroes in here at all. There are no superheroes of any kind, and there also aren't any other kinds of heroes. Let's bury that once and for all. Grimes is not a hero in this story. I don't care if he's wearing a badge or once had a job as law enforcement. There aren't any heroes if all you're doing is trying to avoid getting bitten. Or helping your ragtag band of fellow survivors to fight against obvious, over-the-top, cartoonish, soap opera human villainy. And Okay, the lack of heroes, the lack of Kryptonians, and the lack of heroes are bad enough. But zombie apocalypse stories, just in general, are flawed. Just in their DNA, there's no way that you can fix that all by itself. For instance, the zombie apocalypse always brings about the collapse of civilization. Right? When you see a zombie movie, or if you put yourself through the Walking Dead TV show, which was really good for the first 6 hours, but it's been going on for 70 years now. If you're familiar with these things, the zombie apocalypse is taking place in a fallen world. It's not like there's a zombie apocalypse, but the subways are also running and the quickie marts are also open. No, it's what the preppers refer to as the you know what hitting the fan. That has happened. The system, the grid, has collapsed because of the zombies, but it's still collapsed, and that is never given its adequate due in zombie apocalypse stories like this, or any of the knockoffs that this spawned once the TV show became mega popular. That is never given its proper due. It's not a question of whether or not Sheriff Grimes is a good enough shot to shoot a zombie in the head from 30 feet before it gets close enough to bite him. It's a question, and it's also not a question of where he gets his bullets, for instance, or the grease to maintain his gun that doesn't blow up in his hand. No, it's not a question of that. It's where does he get water? Where does he get water to drink? This zombie apocalypse stories of any kind, comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, always partake of one of the many, many, many structural flaws of The Road by Cormac McCarthy, which is that the writer just doesn't care. He just doesn't care that to follow through on the settings that he himself has invented. The humans, the ragtag band of humans that are in The Walking Dead, their primary concern would be that they don't have the ability to treat a foot if they step on a nail. They'll die of tetanus. They don't have any access to water. They don't have any access to food. They can't get enough protein to live. So in a week, they're all going to be starving to death. And in a month, they're all going to be dead, whether they encounter a zombie or not. No one ever does anything with that. Every once in a while, zombie apocalypse movies will show our heroes, foraging in a supermarket. And maybe they're pushing a shopping cart with a squeaky wheel because zombie directors are the laziest mofos. I was going to say the laziest in the world, but they aren't. Zombie writers are the laziest people in the world. But maybe we'll see that in a zombie show, that they're shopping in a supermarket. Usually that is only done so there can be a jump scare where a zombie shows up in aisle 6 or something like that, rather than the writer actually assessing what would be required for people to live. They don't ever do that. They don't ever do that. And if that's lazy on the part of the director, well, the premise is extra lazy on the part of the writer. Because, I don't know if you've noticed this, think about other, I guess we could call it science fiction premises. Think about other science fiction premises of the world ending, or of civilization as we know it ending. An atomic war, or an alien invasion, or something like that. When somebody takes it upon themselves to tell such a story, it is assumed by them, and also by you, the audience, that they will tell the story, that they will explain what's going on. Only in zombie apocalypse movies is that simply not required. Neither the writer nor the audience seems to even expect that you need to explain things. I'm thinking here specifically of the greatest zombie movie ever made. Please don't talk to me about George Romero, okay? Please don't talk to me about... I'm not talking about slow zombies. Slow zombies who are boring. I'm talking about the greatest zombie movie ever made, starring Ving Rhames. Tell me that you don't love it. And in that movie, at the beginning of that movie, the montage that starts that movie, has a press secretary, I guess, for the White House, standing there at the lectern, and a crowd of reporters is asking, is this a virus? Or is it something else? We don't know. Is it airborne? We don't know. Are these people living or dead? We don't know. And that's it. And we never do know. And it's not viewed as a flaw of the director or the storyteller, and nor is it in any other kind of zombie story. It's just, oh, zombies. Well, I don't know. No, I don't know. You're telling me the story. You're inventing fiction about something that hasn't really happened. You should be able to tell me these things. You shouldn't just say, oh, well, they're zombies. Who cares where they came from or what is explaining any of this? Who cares what's explaining any of this? Some zombie writers have taken it upon themselves to go in the other direction and be accountable for every last little detail of their story. I'm referring here, of course, to one of the greatest novels ever written in the history of human literacy, World War Z. This, my friend, is no World War Z. This is just humans shooting zombies. And there is nothing to that. Once it's happened the first few times, you know how it's going to happen. There can be variations, of course. The humans are utterly reliant on guns and rifles. So let's introduce a character who doesn't use a gun or a rifle, who beheads zombies. That wouldn't work. That wouldn't work. A character who uses a sword to stylistically behead zombies would still get bitten. You can't behead 50 people, 50 shambling bodies that are all around you. You can't behead 50 bodies. One of them would bite you, and then you would be a zombie. So really, this story boils down to humans shooting things. And that gets old pretty quick. And it does in this book. Pretty quick. Nothing is ever explained. Nothing is ever justified. None of the heroes are ever anything more than one-dimensional, baking pan shallow caricatures. I'm the righteous one. I'm the morally dubious one. I'm the folksy storyteller. I'm the one who wouldn't possibly survive in a world where the grid has gone down. Leave the zombies out of it. There are plenty of characters in The Walking Dead, in Kirkman's comic book, The Walking Dead, who wouldn't be alive, and it wouldn't have anything to do with zombies. That has always been my litmus test for zombie stories of any kind. Take the zombies out of it. Is it still a good story? Is it in any way believable? Dawn of the Dead? Absolutely it is. Absolutely, because there are characters, because there's witty writing, because there's interesting pacing. If there hadn't been any zombies in that movie, it would still have been interesting. Most zombie movies? No. No, not at all. And most zombie comic books, this one particularly, this is the big one. No. No. Take the zombies out of it, and I know that you're going to say that sounds ridiculous. Like, take, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants out of the X-Men, and it's... I still think it's valid to say. If you take the zombies out for even a minute, then you start to see much more clearly, all right, there isn't much in the way of characters here. And how are you living? How are you living? Where are you getting your fresh water? Where are you getting your food? Okay, I'm not. If the zombies are out of the story, then I'm not thinking about them anymore. You're not dangling them in front of me like shiny keys, so they're not distracting me anymore. If you take them out of the story, well, how are you living? And these enclaves of inevitably evil humans, because is it possible the humans are the real monsters? How are those enclaves living? How are they getting through? Are there winters still? They don't appear to be. Are there winters still? Where's their fresh water coming from? And also, communities in stories like this wouldn't work either, because the zombies are everybody. The zombies are everybody in the world. It's not like there's been a mass body count. The rapture hasn't happened. If you are not a special case, if you can't shoot something, a melon-sized head from 30 yards away, over and over again, because there are lots of them coming towards you, if you're not able to do that, and let's face it, most people aren't, you're going to end up being a zombie. And you're going to make more zombies. And everyone around you is going to make more zombies. To the point where you've got a tiny handful of exceptional people surrounded by millions of zombies. If that's the case, and if the zombies know where you are, there isn't going to be any human settlement. Remember the movie version of World War Z, where Jerusalem thinks that it is safe behind its giant walls. It isn't. It isn't. No place would be. It's just... When I see story premises like this, I'm not talking about the story itself, because there's precious little in the way of story in The Walking Dead. I mean, if you're going to drag me all the way to page 150, 200 of a graphic novel, in order to have your big human drama payoff moment be when you tell me fathers they'll sacrifice a lot for their son. Yeah, thanks. I actually knew that. And that's true about ants. Ants will do that. You don't even have to show me a human naturally who's got a gun and a badge. You don't even have to show me a human. Guinea pigs will do that. So, yeah, if that's your big dramatic revelation character-wise on page 200, you didn't have much to start off with. And that's why this choice this week nonplusses me. I really don't understand the appeal of this kind of a treatment of a zombie apocalypse. Dawn of the Dead, I understand. Because there's all sorts of twists and turns there. All sorts of twists and turns. That I could watch that movie endlessly. Just for the chainsaw scene. If you know that movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The chainsaw scene alone. I would watch that infinitely over and over again. But otherwise, the premise doesn't work. The premise doesn't work in Dawn of the Dead either. And thankfully, Dawn of the Dead has the courage of its convictions to have the premise not work. It has one of the grimmest endings of any movie that I know of. It has the courage to say, no, this doesn't work. No, this won't work at all. The ending might be forestalled, but we know what the ending is. In The Walking Dead, no. No, unfortunately. I always hoped for more from both the comic book and especially the TV show. I always hoped for more. It's become a standard thing, whether it's in The Walking Dead or a whole bunch of the knockoffs of The Walking Dead. It's become a standard thing that our hardscrabble heroes will see some emblem of higher technology that is still functioning, unreachably in the distance. Famously, they'll see a helicopter fly by, which bespeaks a human infrastructure that has left them to die. Whenever I see that kind of a moment, I always think, can we go with them? Let's see the story here instead of you going from one abandoned CVS to another. But unfortunately, that's what happens in The Walking Dead. It's a massive snooze fest. By the time you get to page 200 of this endlessly gigantic phone book-sized thing, you're going to wish you were a walker yourself. You're going to wish that someone put you out of your misery. And it's... Anyway, that is The Walking Dead for Epic Comic Book Wednesday. This is not a superhero comic, and that's its biggest fault. That's your problem right there. But that's our comic for today. It's not a recommend, unless you are a big fan of zombie apocalypse stuff, and you'll just take anything that has that kind of those kind of gimmicks. If you'll take just anything, just give me zombies. Give me as many zombies as you can get. Okay. Then it'll work for you. And I'm curious to know if that is true. Now I'm curious to know what the resale stuff is like on this. What is The Walking Dead graphic novels like on eBay? I wonder. I haven't checked. I didn't check before this video. I've noticed that over the years, with Michael K Vaughan and I have been doing this, some of the things that we talk about are pretty expensive on eBay. I have a feeling that's not true for The Walking Dead. But who knows? Anyway, that is our epic comic book for today. Zombies. Shoot some zombies. Yep, there we go. So there you go. That's it in a nutshell. We'll hope for better next week. Capes and tights next week would be nice. Anyway, I'll wrap this up, and I will see you then. Thank you, Book 2.